The other day, I was doing some filming with Taylor to get footage for these teaching videos. I needed some footage on blocking and resets. We started to film, and Taylor was initially struggling a bit, so it ended up being a lesson, and I thought it would be cool to share this with you to show you what we worked on. Taylor was stoked because in just 30 minutes he had some real breakthrough moments that he himself said totally changed the way he now thinks about resetting going forward, and that it's actually a lot easier than he thought if he just keeps a few key things in mind and works on them until they're locked in as habits and are automatic. By the end of the session, he was telling me to hit anywhere as hard as I want. I did that, and he was getting most of them back. So what did we change that took him from dumping his resets into the net or popping them up to dropping them in perfectly like clockwork with calm and ease? We'll unpack all of that in today's video. I'm Nicole Havlicek. This is PrimeTime Pickleball. We've helped thousands of players play better pickleball, and we can help you play your best game too. So please subscribe to this channel. It'll help you get notified of new videos as they come out, and it really helps with the YouTube algorithm to get this information out more broadly to more people. We appreciate it. All right, let's dive into today's topic. So the first thing I want to point out, because I have a feeling it's going to come up in the comments if I don't address it, is that you'll notice that Taylor places his non-dominant hand like this on the face of the paddle when he's in the ready position for his reset shot. It's unorthodox, and I don't love that position with the non-dominant hand. I'll explain why at the end of the video for those that are curious to know, but that said, there are some other much more important things that will make a much bigger impact that we need to address in the near term before we get to this. So let that be a lesson within the lesson. You don't address everything all at once. We have bigger fish to fry, so to speak, on how he is handling the reset shot. So we're going to tackle the big things first and foremost and leave the little things for another time. So one of the more critical issues that I noticed right away is that he was chopping down on his resets and as a result dumping more of them into the net. This type of technique could make more sense if you're hitting a more traditional driving volley, but it really doesn't help for the reset shot, and here's why. When your paddle starts well above where you're ultimately going to end up contacting the ball for your reset, and you have to get down under the ball first before you can then send the paddle forward and slightly upward, you'll end up instinctively taking the shortest distance to the ball, which is this way, more or less straight to it. But then you risk still being in motion too much downward when the paddle should already be moving pretty cleanly forward and up to meet the ball at that time, since we do want to send that ball in a soft arcing trajectory and landing it in or near the non-volley zone. Because you're going this way and then are trying to make a sharp adjustment that way, you create so much opportunity to mistime it with too much downward pressure on the ball when you didn't make this turn early enough. This is one major factor of what will cause the ball to not clear the net. So you'll want to start with your paddle more down, but there's more to the story as to why, and we'll get into that now. To demonstrate this next point, Taylor and I did a little experimenting on a different day to get a good angle of where the ball is crossing his body to see what lands in versus what lands out. And though I'm targeting different heights and depths, I'm using roughly the same speed and no topspin or underspin, or really as little spin as I can put on it. I'm intentionally mixing in shots that will land in and others that will land out. You should also do this with a partner at different distances in the court to help train yourself so you can have a better sense of what's landing in and what's landing out, so that you can learn to leave balls that are going out. As we can see, when you're this far back in the court, a ball that is hit hard and coming at this height is going out. So why would you want to have your paddle up here when the ball is realistically never going to be coming there? You wouldn't want to if your desire is to best set yourself up for that shot. So check in with yourself to see if that's something you're doing and correct it. It's really easy to slip into letting that paddle head drift up too high when we're not aware enough of what trajectories the ball can take and still land in. It's easy because it's just a little bit more comfortable to hold it up here than down there, but you really want to get it more down. Realistically, the shots you're going to be dealing with in this type of situation when you're defending from back in the court here are coming at a height that ranges somewhere in here. So get your paddle head down into that range before the ball is struck. That will solve the chopping problem and more. You're so short on time to deal with the attack once it's struck, so it's in your best interest to get more prep work done before the shot is struck rather than after. So there's two things you need to do to get that paddle set lower before they strike. Number one is to drop your arms lower, and number two is to get your knees bent and your butt down. Now when you're doing that, be sure you squat down with a wider base in your legs, wider than your shoulder width. It will make you more stable and also ready to move if you need to. Now you're much more prepared to deal with that reset shot off of an attack. I want to be sure to emphasize that in addition to getting your arms down like this, you also want to be sure to drop that paddle head. Because if you have your paddle head above your hands like this, then it still could create a chopping problem even if you do get your arms down. So you want to be sure to have that paddle head dropped more down as well in addition to the arms. When the paddle head's down in this position, you just then turn the paddle face open and present it to the ball and push forward and slightly up with your main hinge being the shoulder. That's it. There's really not a whole lot to this shot as far as the complexity of the motion goes. So drop your butt, drop your arms, and drop your paddle head when you're in the ready position for a reset shot from deeper in the transition zone. Everything will just be so much simpler because you're cutting out a lot of steps that you don't have time for after they've struck their attack. That's how you invite more efficiency and therefore more peace and calm into your shot even when under attack. So let's put those three key things on our checklist of the things to do when resetting and drill them so much that they become automatic. Once Taylor was aware of these and understood how they should feel on some medium pace feeds, we soon picked up the pace as his timing got better. We logged in some reps at high speeds and soon things just started clicking. And just 30 minutes after we started, he was floating beautiful resets into the non-volley zone off of feeds that I was striking very hard to simulate a big, powerful attack. His job is to now go and drill the heck out of it so it's locked in and so he doesn't drift back into bad habits. So knowing how to fix it is just step one. But locking it in with reps so you don't even know how to do it badly anymore, that's step two. You can't skimp on step two because that's really where the magic happens. So please don't forget that. If you're enjoying this video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel, and also hit that notification bell icon so you can be notified anytime we release a new video. After observing many pro matches, I've noticed that they tend to hold their paddle relative to their body from about here to here. Now, of course, there are outliers, as there always are, but I find this range to generally hold true. Keep in mind that the feeds I was hitting were all flat. If attacks have topspin on them, then they could cross your body higher and still land in. So all of this, as most things, depend. And it's always a mix of art and science. But in general, I'd say if you struggle with resets, get that paddle head lower than you think you need to out of the gate, and I'd expect that has a really good chance of making things easier for you towards the success of your reset shots. In our session, Taylor did a good job of getting that paddle head more down than it was, and that helped him a lot. We then came back another day to work on getting it down even lower out of the gate, and that seemed to help more. Now keep in mind that when you're more forward in the court and blocking and resetting from close to the non-volley zone line, that paddle head can come up a bit when you're in your ready position for the attack, because the angles for their shot trajectory are now different. If you're right up at the non-volley zone line or close to it, there's now more court behind you for the ball to land, and a shot that's targeted higher on your body could still land in, especially if there's heavy topspin on it, as is happening more and more now. And when you're closer, it's harder for them to get access down at your feet because the net is now more in the way for them. So the more likely range for the shot is now higher. Therefore, your paddle can be higher to accommodate for that. So the height of your paddle ready position can and should change depending on where you are in the court, because the range of targets and trajectories they have access to as it relates to your body is different closer versus deeper. The moral of the story here is that you want to get your paddle head preset as close to contact as you reasonably can, and this will help you to minimize your movement and make you a better resetter. You have a pretty good idea of the height of the contact because A, You know they're probably coming with a hard shot. B, you know where you are in the court. And C, you therefore know what their target range is likely to be. So using this information to your advantage should really help your defensive resetting. Let me repeat that key phrase once more. Get your paddle head preset to as close as you reasonably can to your expected contact point, which you can know given the information you have about the shot that's coming. You have a lot more information than you may realize. Use it to your advantage. The more you limit how much movement you have to do once the ball is hit by your opponent, the better. When you eliminate movements, you have less to do, so you feel and you are faster, and all of a sudden a fastball doesn't seem as fast as it once did. This is how you invite peace and calm into your defending abilities and separate yourself more and more from panic and flailing when that attack is oncoming. Be lightning fast, yet with the minimum of motion needed. So it all comes down to getting preset, and from there it's about timing and quick, precise movements to the ball. Ready your body and your paddle appropriately. Read the ball, react extremely fast, put the paddle right where it needs to be with just enough grip pressure, and push on it just enough, all with the most minimal movement possible. It's easy to say, but it's pretty hard to do because everything is happening at maximum speed all around you, which is why you need to train the heck out of it. The reason great defenders make resetting and blocking back into the kitchen look so easy is because they move the least amount possible and put their paddle right where it needs to go. No more, no less on practically every shot. Their timing is exceptional, and it takes a lot of training to dial that in just right. These changes we made with Taylor are some of the exact same changes you may need to make if you're struggling with resets. And I know this because when I walk around and observe play, these are the things I'm seeing that need changing. When you're under attack, time is your enemy. You have very little time to handle that shot well, so these small changes add up to huge differences in the success of your reset execution. Now, before we sign off and wrap up today's video, I did say I would address the positioning of Taylor's offhand after we addressed the big critical pieces. So for all you die-hard technicians like myself out there, I'll get into that now. So we didn't cover it because he was already doing it and therefore it didn't need to be part of the lesson, but Taylor is in a continental grip for this shot, as he should be and as you should be, because you're not going to have time for a grip change. And this grip is the most versatile grip to be in because you can most easily hit a forehand and a backhand out of this grip. The offhand is usually used for two reasons when it's on the paddle. Number one, as part of a two-handed backhand, and number two, as part of assisting in a grip change for the other hand, like this. So it's kind of useless at this position here. It's not helping you with either of those two things. It's more helpful to you down on the grip to possibly assist on a two-handed backhand reset, which can be helpful for stability. And I would recommend experimenting with a two-handed reset block to see how that goes for you. It's happening more and more in the game because it just makes sense from a stability standpoint. Or, and I know I said that probably there's no grip change needed at this time, but what if they happen to flub the attack, or it's just not as big of an attack as you expected, and it opens the door for you to counterattack, and you find that you have time to change your grip? It could and does happen. Things don't always work out as hoped or expected. So you could use it at that time to shift into an Eastern forehand grip, which is this, and then rip a forehand drive or something like that. I just think there's a better case to be made for it being down on the grip where it could have some usefulness rather than up here where, in my view, it doesn't have any. So there you have it as far as what to do with the offhand in this shot. Thanks so much to Taylor for his help with this video, and also for just being so fun to work with because he's open to anything and everything, and he absolutely loves to learn and try new things. I really appreciate it, and it's just a blast. And thanks to you for tuning in today. I hope you got a lot out of it, and we'll see you in the next video. As helpful as we think the tips we're sharing in today's video are, there's more to achieving success on the doubles court. Want a complete A to Z step-by-step blueprint for playing winning doubles pickleball? Check out our dominating doubles system today. Go to doublesystem.com to learn all about it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. For more pro player pickleball tips, techniques, strategies, and more on how to take your game to the next level, please visit primetimepickleball.com. You'll find a clickable direct link in the video description below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, and until then, happy pickling. Much of this footage was captured at the Oakland Hills Tennis Club in Oakland, California. A big thank you to them for the use of their amazing facility.